Hello and welcome. My name is Christina from Empowered Creator. I am a mindset and conscious manifesting teacher and coach, and this is my YouTube channel. Here I talk about all things law of assumption, mindset, conscious manifesting, the quantum universe, and a lot more. And my goal is to simplify everything without the fluff. So if you guys like this content and you would like to see more of it, I would love it if you would subscribe to this channel, comment on this video, like it, share it, and just stick around. Also, if you need any help with your specific situation, I offer one-on-one coaching, email coaching, small group coaching, as well as custom subliminals for whatever needs you may have. So if you're interested in any of these services, the links are below in the description box. You can click on them and they're going to take you to my website. With all that being said, let's dive into today's video. In today's video, I want to talk about a mindset shift that can actually help you disassociate and not dwell so much, or ideally not at all, on the old story. So if you shift your mindset, if you shift your way of thinking to think in the way that I'm going to explain in a minute, this will actually help you a lot, I believe, in not thinking about the old story, not seeing it in the same way, not giving it so much weight and so much importance as you possibly have been until now. So stay tuned, because that's what I'm going to discuss. So often the main reason why we dwell on the old story is because we tend to see it as something that doesn't change, something that is set in stone, something that is insurmountable, something that cannot be overcome. If someone told us something or did something or something happened, we tend to take it as fact. We tend to take it as something that is not going to change or cannot change. And we keep dwelling on that. We keep seeing it as an obstacle. We keep seeing it as a hiccup in our manifestation. We keep seeing it as something that is blocking our desire from manifesting into the 3D. So the way to actually disassociate ourselves from the old story, from the old circumstances, or even from the current circumstances, is to start seeing them a different way. To start realizing that it's not something unchangeable. It's not something that is set in stone. It's not something that is insurmountable or anything like that. Instead, we should always try and remember and remind ourselves of Neville's teaching that everything is a state. What does that mean? What is the main characteristic of states? The main characteristic of states is that they are changeable. The main characteristic of states is that they can be overcome, that they can shift, that they can move, they can fall apart, they can become something else. No state is set in stone. No state is permanent. No state is ever so fixed that it cannot be replaced by something else, or that it cannot fall away and give its way to something else, give its place to something else. So if we start seeing our past circumstances, our old story, or even our current circumstances as the product of just a state that existed and pushed itself out and manifested in the moment or in the short term, then our whole outlook, our whole way of viewing things, our whole way of viewing our desire and our manifestation and our prospects of actually manifesting our desire completely changes. Let me give you some examples. Let's say that you're manifesting a specific person and that specific person actually told you that we can't be together for this and this reason. And then you went and you took this as a fact. You took this as an unchangeable factor. You took this as, but they said that, but they told me that. And this is how you justify to yourself why it cannot be done, how you're justifying a limitation to yourself. They said something, they gave me a reason, whatever, there was someone else, or they don't like me, they're not attracted to me, or we live far away, or I'm too busy with work. Whatever reason they gave, you took it as a fact, you took it as something unchangeable, you took it as something set in stone, and you told yourself and justified to yourself that, oh, because they said that, that means we cannot be together. So you basically created yourself a block from what they said, and you took it as a fact, and you're now dwelling on it, and it's something that you can't get past, and it's something that is giving you resistance, and it's something that you're seeing as an obstacle to manifesting your desire of being with that specific person, etc. How you should be looking at it instead is that your specific person, in that moment where they said what they said, was coming from a certain state. In that moment, they were coming from a state of, I don't think we can be together, or I don't think we should be together because of this and this reason. Whatever the reason might have been, it doesn't matter. So instead of actually taking that as something that was set in stone, something that will never change, that they will never change their mind, that it can never happen because they said that. Instead, start seeing it for what it is. They were coming from a certain state in that moment, very possibly a state where they were mirroring your own dominant beliefs, your own dominant assumptions, your own dominant state. Because remember, everyone is our mirror at the end of the day, and they're mirroring our own inner world back to us. So they were coming from that state where they were mirroring your own dominant states, your own dominant assumptions, and they said what they said. So instead of taking that as something insurmountable, something that's unchangeable, see it for what it is, which is nothing else than a temporary state, a state in the moment, a state that could very well have changed by now. I mean, people change their mind all the time. I'm sure you have changed your mind about things, about people, multiple times in your life. So why see this as something insurmountable? Why see this as something fixed when it was just something that was said in a moment, and who knows in what context? Maybe you were arguing, maybe it was just a reaction, maybe you were trying to force things and it just repelled them and they just had to say something that maybe they didn't even mean. Or at least they didn't mean 100%, you know? So don't take it as something that is fixed and set in stone. Take it as something that happened in the moment. It came from a state that they were in, and it could very well change. In fact, it might very well have changed by now. States are not fixed. States are not set in stone. States are changeable. That's their main characteristic, that they can shift, that they can change. So anything that has happened in the past, anything that someone has said or done that you are seeing as an obstacle, or perhaps a situation, even a circumstance, maybe something you see as an external factor, that you see as an obstacle, you see as a hiccup, you see as a block to your manifestation, see it as coming from a specific state that was actually mirroring your own specific state, your own dominant specific state in that moment, in that time, on that day, and then remind yourself that states change all the time. They change all the time. As a matter of fact, by shifting your focus to the new desire, to the new state, to the new reality that you're creating, you have probably already changed that state. Or it's on its way to changing. Things are happening behind the scenes, and it is changing. Your person's mind is being changed. Your person's ideas and assumptions are changing, because they have to reflect your new assumptions, your new ideas, your new reality that you're creating, okay? So take everything, every circumstance, everything that someone told you or didn't tell you or didn't do as something that was temporary, something that was specific in that moment, and definitely not something that has to perpetuate itself and keep continuing over time and keep happening over time, unless you dwell on it, which is why it keeps perpetuating and why it keeps continuing over time. Take it as something temporary. Take it as something that was just specific in that moment. It happened in that moment from that state. Now we're in this moment. Now we're in a different state. Now things have changed. Or if they haven't visibly changed yet in the 3D, they're on their way to changing because you are changing them within. So they have to reflect that sooner or later. So to recap, remember that everything that happens, everything that someone says, everything that someone does, everything that you experience actually comes from a certain state. So states are changeable. You have the power to change your state, and by changing your dominant inner state, you are changing what states are being projected back to you from the 3D world. So don't take anything as fixed. Don't take anything as set in stone. Don't take anything as insurmountable. Take everything for what it is. Take everything as a state. A state that fluctuates, a state that can actually move away, can actually fall away, can actually change and shift in some way. Okay? So with all that being said, I'm going to wrap up this video here. I intend that this has helped. As always, I very much appreciate you guys being on this channel, watching this content. I very much enjoy making this content for you. And as always, I look forward to seeing you all at the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.